Go ahead and call this meeting to order and ask Councilman Harwell to lead us in the invocation once again.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you for the city, for our citizens. Thank you for all the ways that you bless us, protect us. We just pray as we conduct business tonight that you give us discernment and wisdom. Help us to treat each other with respect. And thank you for your grace and your mercy towards us. In Christ's name.
Amen. Please stand and join us in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Printed off the wrong agenda. Hang on just a minute. All right, I'm on do the roll call. Councilman Harville.
Present.
Christy Thomas.
Present.
Clay Carmichael, present. Councilwoman James.
Present.
Councilman Randolph. Councilman Jemison. Here. Councilwoman Thomas. Councilman Johnson. Did I miss anybody? I'll say that. All right, we got citizens' request to council. Ms. Rotissa Jones about opening a new business.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Rotissa Kimber Jones. This is my daughter here, and I'm here today to ask for a permanent permit. I'm trying to start a business up, but I needed some clarity on what I could do on city property in my yard. I didn't understand it. I was told I couldn't sell stuff in my yard or something. But I just want to go by the rules. So can somebody just tell me what I can and I cannot do? And I have some of the products that that I'm trying to do. I've been doing this for a while. But like I said, I want to do the laws, go by what the city laws are. And I was told I could get a short-term permit and a permanent. And I think it's $5 for the short, but it got confused with what is yard sale stuff and what is the real stuff. Because I was asking to do a yard, because I've been doing it, like I said, in my yard, on my property. But the laws has changed, and I just want to know what I can and cannot do. And that's basically it. Like I say, I haven't 5 minutes, so I'm just trying to let you know.
Yeah, you want to speak on that?
Because I don't know what.
Well, have you spoken with the people in the tax and license office?
I think that's the one, the man, the code man.
No, not code
Not him.
enforcement. No, the tax and license office.
Yes, I did. They the one told me that, well, you can't say, now, if you do a yard sale, it has to be old stuff. That's what it was telling me. I couldn't do my vitamins. And I was like, well, this is my property, but they were like, no, you still can't do it.
You're trying to do a home-based business.
Yes,
That's what,
Because I'm
you
doing-
really want a home-based business.
yes.
There's a procedure for that in the tax and license office. Maybe y'all are not communicating or something?
I guess,
Yeah.
because this is the information they told me, so I was just bringing my product to, as you know, that's my husband. He got hit by a train. He's the one got hit by a train last year. You never know if you see him today. He's doing great. I found out that he had pre-diabetes. We didn't know until all this stuff came up. But that's when I started doing the supplements, because some of the medicine that they was giving him was making him sick. So, did you show it to him? But I just need to know, because I don't want to break no law.
Yeah, if you can go to the clerk's office, and usually the clerk will direct you to wherever you need to go to get all that started.
Okay.
Okay, just check with the
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to acknowledge this young man here. This young man, my husband, used to work for the city for, how many years you worked for the city? 30 years. In the recreation department, then he went to, I think, accounting. And he was a miracle. He found training. His wife,
He actually
a lot of work to get him back, coming back this way.
Yes.
And I'm really proud glad to see you here, man. And awesome. But thank you for the work you have done for the city, but better some of you.
All right, thank you.
Thank y'all for coming forward. Next, Miss Lady Bell, I don't think can make it this evening. After that will be Miss Aubrey Dillard. Miss Aubrey Dillard, present. And finally, Mr. Paul Hanson.
My name is Paul Hansel. I live on 209 Pinehart Drive, and there's about 7 houses in the area that I live in on Pinehart Drive, and our backyards back up to a drainage ditch that runs along a set of railroad tracks. And these railroad tracks are mainly CSX train. It is the one that runs on these tracks. Okay, this drainage ditch is approximately 6 feet deep. What we're having a problem is the drainage ditch is stopped up. Somewhere, I'd say it's probably 50 or 60 yards past the 7th house, it is stopped up. And this drainage ditch, it goes all the way to a creek near the old Walter Craig, and that creek goes into the Alabama River. Well, the ditch is stopped up, and what's going on is any kind of rain is filling the ditch up, and it's coming into our backyards. I've got some pictures here, and that's my shed in that picture, and that shed is on concrete blocks about 1 foot high, so you can see it. It's right at the.
This water surrounding the shed?
Yes, that is water in our backyard, and I called CSX Railroad over 2 months ago, thinking that drainage ditch belonged to them. And CSX checked it out, and they said, no, it didn't belong to them, that they had sold that to B&B Railroad. Okay, I called B&B Railroad, which their home office is in Louisiana, and spoke to an executive, and he called me back and said, no, that drainage ditch actually belongs to the city of Selma. Okay. Well, this has been over 2 months ago. I contacted Troy Harvell and to see if we couldn't get something done about cleaning out the drainage ditch. What's going on, as you can see from the picture, and that was just a regular rain that's in that picture. That's nowhere near what we've got coming this weekend. And thank you. when this water backs up, it is coming into 7 of our backyards. And it's almost coming up all the way to my back patio. And it's killed our shrubs back there, it's killed our flowers, it's taken all our topsoil from our backyard and has gone back into the ditch when the drainage drains down. And it's causing a major mosquito problem to the entire neighborhood. And some of our neighbors have actually seen some snakes in their backyard because of this backup water from this ditch. And like I said, I've called CSX and B&B Railroad, and they both say that the ditch belongs to the city of Selma. And Troy Harville did tell me to get a quote from somebody and see how much it would cost to clean out the ditch. Well, I called a guy named Steve Clements, who owns CNC Contractors. He's out of Plantersville. He's got the equipment to clean this ditch up. And where the drainage starts stopping up is about, like I said, 40 yards past the 7th house. And to get that initial clod, which is a big tree that is falling into the ditch, he's going to charge $2,500, which that's just the start of the initial clod problem. I have no idea what it would cost to clean up the rest of the ditch so that the ditch would keep draining properly. I know several years ago we had the same problem. Cecil Williamson was the councilman. We contacted him, he came and looked at the problem, and the city of Selma did do something about that. They contracted Denmark Tree Service to come and clean out the ditch. But that's been like 15 years ago, and the ditch hadn't had any attention since then. And 2 of my grandsons, they put on waders a couple of weeks ago, and they walked down the ditch. And my 2 grandsons are over 6 feet tall, and the water was coming up to here. They walked down the ditch as far as they could until they got to the initial blockage. That's as far as they could do, and they couldn't do anything about it physically. It's going to take a backhoe, a crane, something a lot bigger than just physical to clean up this ditch. So I've lived there since 1985, and this is the worst that has been stopped up since 1985. And like I said, I've been told by both railroads that the city of Selma owned the ditch, and we hopefully.
I presented a contract to council in request to spend some discretionary funds to clear the ditch. I think the city attorney felt like that maybe wasn't the best thing to do. I then reached out to the legal municipalities who didn't really have a clear understanding of the direction to go either. I know Mr. Hicks has contacted the railroad. I've looked at the tax maps. What I can determine from looking at the tax maps is the drainage ditch is in the railroad's right of way. So, I mean, I'd be more than happy to clean the ditch out and use my funds if we feel like that's something that I can do. If not, then I'm certainly not going to do it. But it is an issue. I live right around the corner. I'm well aware of it. I've walked down that road on the track 1,000 times as a kid to go sneak and fish in the D'Agostins pond down here. So.
And Council, Vice President Carmack, I didn't want to, my back is to you because I'm trying to keep everybody who's speaking in front of me. I wanted to respond briefly, very briefly. The reason I suggested what I did on waiting on contractual action is, I think the legality of exactly who does own the property was the first question. And I'm still not 100% sure, but I think there is an easement for the railroad company. If the property, city's property, that doesn't change the fact that they've got an easement. We may have some question about who's supposed to be maintaining it. The other issue is I thought Public Works should have a look at it and see if they couldn't do it, because that's what they do. And that would avoid the necessity for paying a contractor when we've got someone in the city who can do it. And I definitely hadn't had a chance to talk. I didn't talk with Mr. Hicks yet, but I can either this evening or tomorrow. And I wanted to make sure that we gave the office responsible for that activity normally a chance to weigh in, at least to say, yeah, we can do it, or no, we can't, or let's see, and we'll get back to you.
Perfect. I know Mr. Hicks reached out, I don't see, I know he reached out to the railroad company, and
I've reached out to the railroad company too.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm having to reach up the chain of
Yeah.
command, because I've actually talked with someone here locally, but I thought it was Norfolk and Southern and not CSX.
CSX is who I talk to, because 90% of the cars that come by have CSX written on the railroad car.
Well, I've spoken with representatives of both Norfolk Southern and Meridian Railway, and I'm not convinced that we're getting the attention from my inquiries, nor the mayor's back yet, and I've been directed to go up the chain further. But I'll continue that, as well as talk to Mr. Hicks about what the Public Works Department can do or not.
Okay.
And get back to, sir, would you repeat your name and address?
Paul,
You got it?
I need the address.
The name and address again,
Paul
please?
Hansel,
Hansel,
two L's,
two L's.
Hansell. I'm at 209 Pine Heart, that's Pinehardt Drive. So with the sewers actually being stopped up too, it's presenting a problem when it rains real hard for the cars just to come through the neighborhood, because the water is standing in the road, sometimes as much as 3 or 4 inches in the road in our neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Hansel. So, Dr. Bob, you have, go ahead, Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, Mayor, of course, this is something I've been bringing up for a minute, and I understand this young man talking about, and my ditches is getting horrible, especially with the rain, coming from Gray Street, going down to Maxit, and going down. I know we got an excavator, I think, but we still waiting on some tools to come in to get this taken care of, because the mosquitoes is getting outrageous. They call them, regular, tell them to be patient, because we're gonna get to them. But now, and I know this public work is doing the best they can. And, but the ditches is something, I think, not just this young man, but I think it's in pretty much all our wards, that them ditches are gonna have to be a priority sooner or later, that the rain is just really, it's still standing itself down, and there's still, water still there, and mosquitoes ain't making it don't build, so.
Well, since you called me out, Councilman, one of the good things that I can say about this is the last time your ditch was cleaned, I was mayor.
Yeah.
So we got it done then, we can figure out how to get it done now. But this is the first time I think I'm just really hearing, I just asked Don about it, did I really know about this particular issue? The problem with getting the ditches clean is we don't have that equipment in yet that has been ordered. There's a side cutter, we got the backhoe in, it's actually in. But the problem is we don't have the trailer in to haul it.
Right.
So it's a lot of just logistical issues to get all of that stuff in so we can do this work. And I don't know if you want to try to contract it out to do it with a sense of urgency, we can try and do that. But I would, instead of spending $2,200, we could, I don't know, we can wait just another few weeks and we can get to it and get it done, because we got to clean all the ditches. All of them are the same, really.
Do you have
They
a
are not-
time frame there?
Well,
when that equipment is gonna be?
No, Hicks has it, but I'm thinking we probably, I don't know the answer to the question on the trailer. I asked the guy today because he delivered a John Deere dozer today to the landfill. And so the equipment is coming in. It's just, I mean, the manufacturing process is slow now because of COVID. People not having trouble hiring, and it's just a lot of problems that we're working with. But I can, you know, I want to do it. I'll do it as soon as I get the equipment to do it. If you can just hold out a little while longer. But if you can't, then we'll try to figure out how to get a contract to get it done.
Well, I appreciate it, Mayor, sure
Yeah.
do. We might need boats this coming weekend with what we've got coming in.
And I don't know if we can get to it that fast, but and tomorrow's a holiday, you see. So the problem is I don't have a way to get to it before the weekend. But Hicks, they would have to come out there and look at it to see the access to the ditch, because if it's on their railroad right away, I don't know what kind of access we have.
And I think that's been the question
Is that the issue?
that Mr. Hicks is struggling with.
Yeah, trying to get access to it. So I don't know, I just don't want to, I don't know how we did it before, but we can figure it out. But I just don't have an answer for you right now.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
All right. Mayor, you can continue on, it's your turn.
The city attorney has some time constraints, and so I had, good evening everybody, by the way. I had actually indicated that I was going to give him an opportunity to go before me so that he could handle his affairs. So, Attorney Madison, what's your call?
Good evening, Vice President Carmichael, ladies and gentlemen of the council, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and listening in. I want to thank the mayor, first of all, for being gracious enough to allow me to get in line first. I do have a family matter that's requiring me to move out quickly this evening. But I want to start off my report with a citywide abatement bid. The city on, I believe it was June the 3rd, well, on or about June the 3rd, the city met with, immediately previous thereto, met with somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 or 15 contractors at a presentation, a pre-award presentation, to inform them of what the requirements would be for cutting grass, clearing lots, hauling away mown, cut grass, weeds, and trash. The meeting was well attended. We had several individuals return bids. The bids were opened with the city clerk, the planning development director, public works director, and code enforcement director, and myself present. There were 3 low bidders. One low bidder bid on everything the city offered to have cut and cleared and cleaned. He did not win everything the city had to be cut, cleared, and cleaned, because some people bid lower than, on some of the other properties. The bidders were given an opportunity to bid on each parcel by blocks of parcels, or some or all of the parcels. So everybody had the same opportunity is what I'm getting at. The winning bidders came back as Phillips Lawn, Al's Lawn Service, Phillips Lawn and Maintenance, Al's Lawn Service, and Robinson Lawn Service. We have prepared, and I didn't give it to you tonight as backup documentation, but what was prepared was a list of every city-owned property and every state-owned property within the corporate limits of the city of Selma. Those properties were actually color-coded, as well as identified by wards, and I'll provide this to you, have my secretary provide this to you first thing tomorrow, the backup documentation.
They're off tomorrow.
Excuse me?
They're not working tomorrow.
Oh, Monday. Monday. You're right. Somebody gave us a paid holiday. But my office will provide a backup documentation, is what I'm getting at. So you can know exactly which properties in each of your wards is being cleared, and having the cut grass and weeds and trash hauled away. And again, that's every city-owned or state-owned piece of property, I believe that's vacant in the city of Selma. Vacant. We're not cutting private owners' property. That's not what we do. But the city owns this and the state owns some of it. But even what the state owns, we bid out to have it cut, cleared, and cleaned and cleared and hauled away. The total bids, winning bids were Robinson's Lawn Care for wards 1, 6, 7, and 8, $22,156. For wards 2, 6, two sets of blocks of properties in Ward 6, 2 blocks of properties in Ward 7, and 1 block of property in Ward 8, $41,940 for a total of $64,096. The winning bid for Robinson, Al's Lawn Service for wards 3, 4, and 5, $3,412. That's city-owned properties, and for the state-owned properties, wards 3, 4, and 5, $10,148 for a total of $13,560. Phillips won a portion of the block of the properties in Ward 6 with its bid for a total of $4,200. All of this information, supporting information and documentation can and will be provided to the council. But the main point tonight was those bids took place. Those properties are due to be cut with your approval of the contracts for the said work.
How many parcels of property?
Gee, I didn't count, Mr. Mayor, but it's over. I think it's over 100.
Over 250.
Over 250.
It's over 200, that's over 250 parcels.
250 all total
250 what?
parcels of properties, from something much less than an acreage to, I think in one case, over 12 and a half acres. That's the expanse of the properties in total, over 250 properties.
What's the total cost of all contracts?
I totaled it up earlier. It's around $89,000,
$89.
approximately.
With the public works director will follow up on this cut
Yes.
to make sure, okay.
The public works director was at the pre-award with the potential bidders, as well as discuss with them what public works will do and not do, as well as will be supervised along with code enforcement to work.
Right, to make sure that it's approved before we pay them.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah, public works and code enforcement.
Good.
Public works and code
All
enforcement.
right, good, all right.
And if something's wrong, our brother is involved. The next item on my,
Are there any more questions on that? Item number 1, go ahead.
I see all the wards here, did they go around and look at the different wards and see what they needed? or-
they were given that opportunity. They were given, I think, a week after the pre-award meeting to view the properties. And those who chose to do so had an opportunity to do so. They had over approximately a week to do that.
Are there any other questions? Where is this funding supposed to come from? Is it budgeted? I guess that question's for.
That was a very interesting discussion about that, and the funding, I believe, is emanating out of Public Works.
That there is in that budget.
Yes, sir. I owe you a fund account, and I did not have that because I wanted to make sure that I got the correct one. I got some information, but I wasn't sure.
It's coming out of Public Works, but apparently they don't have the form. It'll be here Tuesday. The transfer fund.
Yeah. This was a requirement of the policy of the city to make sure we had the money where it's supposed to be. So we're doing that right now. The second item on my report is a contract for Roosevelt Goldsby. Our interim tax and license director, Ms. Rachel Honor, had an unfortunate a mishap, and she's out and has been out for almost a week now, I believe.
Could be an extension.
It's going to be an extended period of time during which she's not available for work. Some time ago, I was asked by the mayor to present a contract for a consultant to that department, Mr. Roosevelt Goldsby. Mr. Goldsby has consented to stand in, and that office collects money and records money and reports its recordings, and is a crucial segment of the city's business. So I've been asked to represent the contract to you for services of Mr. Roosevelt Goldsby. I originally drafted a contract to read from June 2021 through September 2021. That contract will now read with this council's approval, I believe it's June 15th, June 10th through September 2021, with the option to come back and ask for it to be extended if it's necessary in light of the interim tax and license director's health or other concerns. The contract I think his contract is in there. No, here it is. The reason I stalled at the dates is because that contract originally was for January of this year. And I stalled at the dates because I was looking at another document. It should read June 15th through September 14th of this year, 2021.
So has he started already?
Yes.
I had to bring it in.
It was an emergency situation. And the mayor had already presented this information to the council previously with the understanding that the council was due to approve it, about to approve it. So it wasn't a happenstance that Mr. Goldsby was available. He is already at work, and as I said, the tax and license office is one of the most critical functions in the city. So we're going to present that to the council and for your approval.
Are there any questions on that item from James?
What's the reason Ms. Rachel is gone again?
Ms. Honor?
You said Rachel?
Yes, Rachel Honor.
What's her?
I believe it was an accident.
So is she gone? I mean,
Not permanently, but unable to, and she is unable.
She's on medical leave.
Okay.
And we're thinking she's gonna be out for that period of time?
It's, at this point, what I'm gathering is that, her situation is serious, and, she is not able to come in. And, and when that happened, if you recall, we had already presented a contract for Goldsby before, but he came in and he got the work done in 2 days. In other words, we presented at the work session, And by the time we got to the council meeting, what we needed him to do, he had done. And so we didn't have to get the contract approved, you recall that. And so I called him when this happened, and when we found out that Rachel was not going to be able to come in, and I asked him if he would come in and help us out. And he did, and he graciously agreed. He is a former tax license officer. He's the former person who worked in that office, has the experience, to kind of stabilize us until the council go ahead and make its appointment for that position. That's where we are.
The dates on this are still in January.
Those dates have to be revised. Those dates have to be
You'll have
revised.
those revised for Tuesday's meeting.
Yes, sir, most definitely. The next item on my report is the Selma Housing Authority, City of Selma MOU style memorandum of understanding between the City of Selma Municipal Corporation and the Selma Housing Authority, Municipal Public Housing Authority. This memorandum of understanding dated this first day of May 2021 is entered into by between the City of Selma Municipal Corporation, the city, and the Selma Housing Authority, Municipal Public Housing Authority, providing as follows. Whereas the authority is an Alabama Municipal Housing Authority governed by an independent board of commissioners, and which employs the president, Kennard Randolph, to oversee its day-to-day administrative operations and its point of contact with this MOU. And whereas the city is a municipal corporation with an elected mayor, the Honorable James Perkins Jr. responsible for day-to-day operations of the city. And whereas the city maintains a full-service police department to provide public safety, and its chief of police serves as chief law enforcement officer for the city and the CEO of the police department. And whereas, and I don't want to stand here and read to you unless you want me to read this verbatim, the essence of the MOU is an agreement between the Selma Housing Authority and the City of Selma to provide an A-post certified housing authority investigator. That investigator will work under the direction of the president of the Selma Housing Authorities, but in concordance with with the approval of the chief of police of the city of Selma. The chief of police has weighed in on this MOU. He's provided his input, which is added to this MOU, and the main concern of the chief of police was referred to in item 8. The housing authority investigator will be allowed to work overtime for the city, but must be approved by the chief of police prior to reporting for duty. The housing authority investigator will be compensated by the city for the overtime, and it will be on an as-needed basis. The housing authority investigator will notify dispatch and the duty supervisor that they are on duty by keying up on the radio and advising that they are 1041 and 1042. That's police talk for, I don't know. But he'll be telling them what he's doing on a regular basis. And checking in with the police department is the key to maintain communication, especially in case there is an emergency. He's in a problem, or the city has an emergency. The HAI will complete the necessary reports and citations that are required for an officer during a shift. The HAI will also swear to the citations and appear in court to testify as needed. The HAI will follow the policy and procedures that are outlined in the Selma Police Department manual. I've read through the entire agreement. I have no hesitation at all to recommend it to the council for your consideration and approval. The Selma Housing Authority will pay the housing authority investigator. The city will only pay overtime.
That's correct.
Which I thought was a point of importance.
That's very important. Any questions?
Next item on the report is the landfill resolution. As you may well be aware, the director of the inert landfill, Mr. Moselle Williams, recently passed. A memorial service was held for him here at the John Morgan Convention Center, Carl Morgan Convention Center. And due to his, what I've labeled here as an untimely death, there are several personnel requirements that the mayor and the public works and consultant and concordance in consultation with each other deem unnecessary. They're set forth in this resolution. It's short enough that I think I do need to read it. It's less than, it's approximately a page and a half long. Request for personnel action at the inert landfill of Selma, Alabama due to an emergency, whereas in accordance with section 11-43-56, Code of Alabama 1975, the City Council of the City of Selma, Alabama, and incorporated municipalities empowered to control the finances and property of the City of Selma. And whereas the recent and untimely death of the director of the City of Selma's inert landfill has created personnel management and even more critical need for remedial regulatory action. And whereas the sole remaining certified full-time City of Selma employee at the inert landfill is Marcus Thompson. And whereas the Director of Public Works for the City of Selma is functioning on a day-to-day practical and professional capacity as de facto inert landfill director. And whereas the E3 Solutions professional consultant who is contractually providing services requiring her to spend only 3 days a month of her time in Selma, Alabama, assisting at the inert landfill, has instead spent 15 days in the month of May alone, in addition to playing a pivotal role during the emergency stated above, and is presently providing indispensable responsive action with the Alabama Department of Environmental Management, ADM. And now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Selma, Alabama, that in light of the above facts, the following personal and contractual changes and actions are hereby authorized. Be it resolved that Marcus Thompson be promoted to inert landfill supervisor at a new rate of pay of $15 per hour, payable from the line item and fund account of salary of the previous inert landfill director, responsible for managing the day-to-day operations of the City of Selma inert landfill, reporting to Henry Hicks. Be it further resolved that Henry Hicks, current Public Works Director, be also assigned the title and responsibility of interim inert landfill director, as he is currently unofficially serving in the same capacity without the title, official responsibility, or pay, and that he be paid an additional $10,000 per year payable from the line item and fund account of the salary of the previous inert landfill director, or until a replacement director of the inert landfill is hired. Be it finally resolved that the consultant E3 Solutions have a contract amended to allow for payment of an additional $2,000 per month for increased travel and lodging, in addition to payment under the current contract work, travel, lodging, and work, in addition to payment under the current contract for no more than 10 to 15 days per month of work, to be adopted by the City Council of the City of Selma, Alabama. Are there any questions?
Well, we would like to have copies of all of these, because I haven't gotten a chance to read over any of them. We just got some of these contracts.
So,
So,
they've been provided, just recently, they've been provided to Mrs. Ellis. For this- for this
what's the title on that one?
Request for personnel action at the inert landfill of Selma, Alabama.
Resolution R
150.
Basically, correct me if I'm wrong, we're looking for an increased pay rate to $15 an hour.
Yes.
For Mr. Thompson.
Correct.
An increase in pay for the Public Works Director to $10,000, or $10,000 over what he's already getting paid.
Yes,
In order
until,
for him to supervise the landfill.
which he's actually pretty much doing now.
Right, and then an additional $2,000 per month for his love.
Yes. Out of the funds she's already contractually being
Just
paid.
added to it, right? Any questions? Yeah. All right, go ahead, continue.
I might add, with the exception of Marcus Thompson, I've worked very closely with those other two individuals, Mr. Hicks and the consultant, Mrs. Love, Deborah Love. Without Deborah, we would have no lifeline to ADM. Without Mr. Hicks, Deborah would have no lifeline to the city. And without Marcus Thompson, who's the only certified landfill employee there, we wouldn't be able to keep the landfill open. I just thought that those were important, three very important points.
Is merging the two departments something that you would want to look at? I mean, I'm just
Well,
curious.
thinking about it, but I don't know that, with the technical requirements in the landfill, long-term, I don't know that that would be a good idea. The ADM and EPA standards are steep, and the fines are high if we don't get it right. So we really need to try to get someone in there that would be a certified person to really run that process. Yeah.
Any other questions about that?
I would like to read over, because I might have some questions too, sir. So, I mean.
I have a copy of it here, I think.
Yeah,
I
and
got it.
She got
I
it.
just need time to read it.
Yeah, don't put it on the consent agenda, is that what you're saying?
I might have some questions.
Okay. All right, continue on.
I think that's my report. I think that's my
Oh, that's
report.
it? Okay.
So let me ask you a question, so, if we did, get off and read over the weekend, can it be put on the consent agenda? We always can put it off and discuss it at the council meeting, and then we can just take it off at that particular time. Is this something we need to move on from here?
Yeah, everything we bring in right now is pretty critical, but, you know, we're running as fast as we can, as hard as we can, guys. That's what.
It seems critical, but like she said.
Yeah, she got-
She's gonna have questions.
All right, no
Put it
doubt,
on
but
consent.
still, I'm saying, that was anything, we normally put things on there, and sometimes we put it off, we can do that, we can put it off. And
Usually we get it ahead of time, we just got this since we've been here.
I know, and I'm just asking, and of course, it's just one man just asking a question, we
Yeah.
can read over it, and put it off, if we put it on the consent agenda, and, question you wanna ask, we making, the question can be asked at the council meeting.
Absolutely.
It can be answered, and then it does enough, and we're gonna move forward. What I'm saying, I'm just trying to keep on delaying, because the next meeting ain't till the July the 13th, unless we talking about having another special call meeting right away. So I'm saying if we could just put it on the consent agenda, whatever question we have coming into Tuesday, we'll put it off and
As long as she
discuss it.
consents,
Yeah.
then we will put it on the consent.
Right.
That's fine,
Everybody
but I
has to
just wanna-
consent.
Right, and
I mean, because if it's something that I don't agree with, then you know.
right, right, but just ask the question and make it feel.
Well, all right, so all these seem vital, so we can put all of them on the consent agenda, if y'all are good with that, and when y'all read it, we can pull them off. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
I have no problem with what's needed, but again, you know, let's get stuff in time, you know, because I have a problem getting something at 6 o'clock. And we got this at 6 o'clock. And we know that it's very important. This is very important. So let's try to get it at least 3 hours ahead of time so we can browse over it and know exactly what you're talking about. I know how critical this stage is, but two, we want to make the right decision on everything we do. Let's just get it to us in time so we can be knowledgeable of what you're talking about.
And I feel compelled to respond. You're absolutely right. You deserve all the time you need and want. I think you mentioned last council meeting, 7-day requirement of getting information before the council meeting, I thought it was.
Did you get that resolution?
No, but I got that discussion.
Okay.
I got that discussion.
I thought I sent that resolution. I'll make sure.
I got that discussion, and I may have the resolution in my inbox too. There were, 2 of these are emergencies on this, and that doesn't excuse the time frame, but 2 of these is emergency. There is another emergency that I can't even discuss now because it's gonna have to be held in an executive session. And these are things that none of us can anticipate. That's the only thing I wanted to say in response to that. But we have in my office a stated goal of getting everything before the work session on
Tuesday.
We try to get everything in by Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Lately,
no
our
later than
system
Wednesday,
has
no.
been down,
The
and
mayor,
it just shut down.
the mayor has emphasized that we must have these in to him the Tuesday before the work session. And I would be remiss to say that I didn't understand all that when I'm watching here with these documents tonight. But my goal is to get it to you 24 to 48 hours ahead of when you meet, and I'm working fiercely at that.
Thank you. That'd be awesome. All right.
That's, as I said, that's my report.
Okay, any other, are there any other questions? Be safe on your trip, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I got some good news. This afternoon, we finished up that draft of the re-engineering of the garbage system. The ordinance and the contract with LDI. And so I want to just give you that notification so that you can start thinking about maybe announcing in the meeting when we can have the work session or the committee meeting with Public Works. We can begin to hammer this out and get this done. I have to take responsibility for some of the delays because we really have been in all day, 4-hour-a-day and all-day meetings to get that done. And there has been some additional system issues up and down, some challenges with that. But we're getting it done as fast as we can. On the down system issues that we're having, we're going to have to invest in some uninterruptible power supplies. We have too much running on one, and we don't have capacity on another unit for the racks that we have in there. And so we'll be coming back with that. Those things are fairly expensive, but we need them because the power reliability downtown is where Auburn not in here. Yeah, you do. We're having some trouble with power in this building. And so we gotta, in fact, I suppose been talking to him about that also, about seeing if we can get Alabama Power to come in and check to see the power service here in this building to make sure we're okay. I want to move quickly. We got two things. One, on the sanitary sewer improvement on Broad Street and Dallas Avenue. Meredith is here to present that. I think that's going to be a short issue. And then after Meredith, come on Meredith, and after Meredith gets done, I'm really excited to share. I'm going to ask Danielle Wooten to come up, Director of Planning and Development, to deal with the authorization for the sale of real property and to the National Park Foundation. I'm really excited about this project as well. I think it's good for the city. Go ahead.
We received bids for sanitary sewer work on Dallas Avenue, which is, it's right there in front of Dr. Dillard's house. That's a state highway. The state has been putting asphalt. I'm sure everybody's ridden over it. It's a collapsed sewer main right there. We're going to replace it. And then on Broad Street from Philpott all the way to Memorial, I'm sure y'all are aware. I think it's in the westbound lane. There's several potholes, holes opening up. That's what this project, we accepted bids on it to fix both of those issues. And we just need the council's approval to award it to Suncoast Infrastructure in the amount of $260,503.
We don't have any of that. The email came through, I think, 5 minutes after 5.
Yeah, it's a, you can take a look at it and we'll answer any additional questions you may have. We identified, I think, 13 cave-ins in the city. Public Works, and along with the engineers, we've been able to, I think, repair 3. These 2 we had to put out for bid. These are the bid specs that's come back, and so now we're moving to try to get that done. Okay?
Because they're both state highways, and the state's been after us to get these fixed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the state come with it at all? Is it all?
No,
It's the responsibility of the city.
this is on us. This is on us.
And are there any grant funds?
This is gonna come out of the, ADM, SRF project funds.
Yeah. It's not coming from the general fund. Yeah. So the money's there, the money is there for the project. Okay.
Put that on
Yeah.
the consent agenda.
Yeah, the money's there for the project. And, as soon as we can get these off, we get these two done, we're gonna go get 3, 4 more. We're gonna keep going.
Well, I
Yeah.
got one more.
Oak Street.
Well, I know, I already know where they are. I already know that. We know exactly where they are. Thank you, Mary. All right, thank you all so much. Now, Danielle, come on, and after Danielle, the treasurer is not here this evening. I did receive a letter of retirement, announcing her retirement at the end of this month. And so we are now both out of an interim treasurer and an interim tax and license. So we need to continue to move on those quickly. Hey,
I know the feeling.
it's all in the day's work. I asked for it. Good.
Good evening, members of the council.
Good evening.
You should have received in your packet Resolution 153, 2021, authorization for the sale of real property to the National Park Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit corporation for the benefit of the United States Department of Interior, National Park Service, Selma to Montgomery National Historic Trail. The resolution reads, whereas the city of Selma is a political subdivision of the state of Alabama and the county of Dallas, Alabama, the city owns the following 2 parcels of real property located in the city of Selma, 2 Broad Street, and the second parcel is 4, 6, 8, and 10 Broad Street, as well as 1119 Water Avenue. Those properties on the county assessor's map are identified as 1 parcel. So we're only talking about 2 parcels, but it's multiple properties. Whereas the properties described herein together with any easements are collectively referred to as properties, the city of Selma is authorized to convey these properties to the National Park Foundation pursuant to section 114720 of the Code of Alabama 1975 and all applicable statutes and ordinances. The city of Selma desires to sell the properties to the National Park Foundation for the benefit of the United States of America through the U.S. Department of Interior, National Park Service to be included within the park. The city of Selma desires to sell the properties to the National Park Foundation at a price that is based on an independent U.S. PAP compliant appraisal, whereas the city of Selma and the National Park Foundation share the mutual goal and agree that the properties will serve public purposes and benefit the general public by enhancing education, the preservation of history, and the development of tourism, and the creation of a national historic landmark within the city of Selma, Alabama. I'm not gonna read the rest of the resolution because we do have a representative, Dr. Joy Kennard from the National Park Service, as well as Ms. Monica Rose from the National Park Foundation, and they have presentations that they're gonna present to you all today. And we did bring this to you guys to let you know that there were communications with the Park Service and the Park Foundation in regards to the potential sale of those properties. So at this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Joy Kennard for her presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, these folks are our friends, folks.
Good evening, everyone. I am Joy Kennard. I'm the superintendent of the Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site, the Tuskegee Institute National Historic Site, and the Selma to Montgomery National Historic Trail. I was hired permanently in April of 2020, and so I've been here a year. I relocated from Ohio, where I started a new park called the Charles Young Buffalo Soldiers National Monument, and prior to that, my hometown of Washington, D.C., where I've actually worked at national parks managing them there. So I'm really excited to be here. My great-grandparents were from Alabama, actually Opelika and Eufaula, and so I feel like I'm home. So I've fallen in love with Selma too. I will be doing a co-presentation with the National Park Foundation, so I will try to be as brief as possible, but I know you will probably have questions. Okay, next slide, please.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, it's okay. I did want to first say that this project would not be possible without the ongoing advocacy of Congresswoman Terry Sewell and her staff, along with the needed recognizing of the late Congressman John Lewis, in a place that he cherished, where he and others came not just to solve African American problems, but American problems, which focused on citizenship, equality, equity, and voting rights. Next slide. I'm sure you all know this, but for those of you all who don't, the Selma to Montgomery National Historic Trail was established in 1996 that commemorates and interprets and preserves the important stories of the Selma voting rights movement and the routes of the Selma to Montgomery voting rights marches of 1965. Today, the Selma to Montgomery National Historic Trail serves as an enduring testament to the continued struggle to preserve the right to vote as a fundamental cornerstone of American democracy, with an annual visitation of hundreds of thousands of people. Next slide. The Evan Pettus Bridge is by far the most iconic structure along the National Historic Trail. Although strategically located across the street from the bridge and on a busy street, the National Park Service's visitor presence is only a small contact station that does not adequately draw visitors nor serve their interpretive needs. The trail is missing prime opportunities to bring partners together to provide higher learning curriculum for different generations to grow in wisdom together. We have a current arrangement with the City of Selma, who owns the property. Expanding the Selma Interpretive Center to establish the John Lewis Leadership Center and expand the visitor experience for people who come to visit, to provide substantial space for state-of-the-art exhibitions covering a broader range of narratives and interactive experiences, a digital library and research center, contemplative green space, and a commemorative monument that provide prime opportunity to better connect the past with present and take a more accurate and complete story. Next slide. The vision for this project is to provide a premier experience at the Selma Interpretive Center that includes innovative exhibits, a voting rights education center honoring the legacies of John Lewis and other voting rights activists, multi-purpose space, interpretive green space, and adequate facilities. Next slide. We are proposing that the city work with the National Park Foundation, who would acquire the buildings currently owned by the City of Selma. The National Park Foundation would donate the properties to the National Park Service, which would oversee construction of the buildings and grounds, as well as exhibit design, fabrication, and installation. Next slide. Oh. This slide, I'm sorry, you can keep it here. This slide, I wanted to make sure you saw, highlight some of the pictures of the property we're proposing to acquire. But we did have an assessment done of the property, and we are looking to do a lot of work. The historic properties are in pretty bad condition. Asbestos was found and some other things, and so these are things that we do all the time in the National Park Service, and so we're definitely not scared of the amount of things that were found in the assessment. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. I think I went through that one. So the National Park Foundation is interested in the proposed land that the National Park Service is interested in. We're interested in acquiring 2/3 of an acre anchored near the current visitor center at 2 Broad Street. The proposed properties to be acquired are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 Broad Street, and 1119 Water Avenue. We are going to be retaining and preserving the historic facades along Broad Street where the foot soldiers marched back in 1965, and we plan on renovating and upgrading the facilities at 2 Broad Street and installing exhibits and interpretive media. I'm going to kick it over to my other team, to the National Park Foundation, but I would like to thank you all for listening to this presentation, and I will stand by for any questions after their presentation. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Can you all hear us on the computer here?
Yes.
All right. Good evening. My name is Monica Rhodes. I'm with the National Park Foundation, and I want to personally thank City Council members as well as you, Mayor Perkins, and Dr. Kennard for your great presentation today. I am joined today by our Chief of Staff, Ruth Prescott, our Vice President of Resource Management, Jason Corzine, and our Land Acquisition Specialist, Jenny Katz. So with that, I'd like to turn our conversation over to Ruth to kick us off, as well as Jason.
Thank you, Monica, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for arranging this opportunity, and to the City Council members for hearing us. It's quite a joy and an honor for us to be with you this evening to talk about a project that is so timely, so relevant, and so important that we preserve. Dr. Kennard has laid out her vision. It's a vision that we at the Park Foundation are totally bought into. We thought it might be useful if we quickly describe to you who we are. We are the congressionally chartered philanthropic partner of the National Park Service. We were chartered in 1967, and since that time we have worked to raise private philanthropy to support the priority projects and programs of our partner, the National Park Service. It is in that role that we are here today. Park Service leadership in Washington and in the Southeast region came to us with this opportunity and asked if we could provide some expertise to assist in these acquisitions. That is our role, and we'd like to dig just a little bit deeper and give you some insight into our experience operating in this space. So let me kick it back to Jason and Monica for more on that.
Next slide, please. Jason, you're on mute. And next slide, please. All right, here we are. So Jason, you want to take this one, or Jenny?
Yep. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you everyone. To highlight Monica and Ruth's comments, we are honored to be presenting here today alongside Dr. Kennard. And just to give you an example of some of the iconic projects we have completed since 2015 on behalf of the National Park Service, creating 5 new parks, working with gift lands and also purchases, protecting over 8,000 acres, supporting 43 parks, and of course, raising subsequent funds to acquire those. You'll see in these pictures that we have this expertise of highlighting important and iconic sites in American history, including freedom riders in Alabama, Harriet Tubman's home in upstate New York, the new site at Medgar and Burley Evers in Mississippi, and of course, the acquisition of the birth and life home of Dr. King in Atlanta, Georgia. So just to underscore the fact that we have experience in purchasing properties like these and then working with the Park Service to honor the legacies of these individuals as part of the American history and telling a broader story. Let's move to the next slide. So really what comes to the crux of this is that beyond the vision that Dr. Kennard laid out is that we want to propose, as the resolution stated, to acquire the properties outlined in the resolution, that the National Park Foundation would be the intermediate buyer on behalf of the Park Service, and as part of that, we would be conducting all of the due diligence, raising dollars for this, and then also supplying project management capacity both to the Park Service and to the city in this aspect. Ultimately, conveying these properties to the Park Service, they will be the final owner, and then really working on that build out and construction and the vision and interpretation that Dr. Kennard laid out. So this is kind of a flow, very simple, of how we see this happening. The city, of course, being the seller, Park Foundation being the acquiring party, and then the Park Service, of course, being the final owner. Next slide, please. So as part of a typical real estate transaction, and all of you are familiar with this, the Park Foundation will, can we scroll this up just a little bit so I can see it? Thank you so much. These are the due diligence pieces that the Park Foundation will take on. My colleague Jenny Katz has actually already started to pull these pieces together, assuming that the city would approve the resolution to sell these properties to the Park Foundation. We will get title commitments, phase 1 and 2 environmental assessments. We, of course, will appraise the property. I think that's probably the most important piece to highlight here. Knowing that the city is a seller, we want to make sure that we get fair market value established, that you are happy with that fair market value, and then that will consummate a transaction. In addition, we will do improved land surveys, a property condition assessment, and of course, all of this will be tidied up via legal work that our attorney will help draft and then work with the city to make sure it's in good standing alongside city attorneys. Next slide, please. So a very simple process as it stands from this standpoint is that the Park Foundation will facilitate the purchase fair market value, again, as determined by this appraisal. And the appraisal, we will work with the city to choose. The city will sign a purchase and sale contract with the Park Foundation. And then we sort of carry all of the closing costs, the due diligence costs. We put those funds into escrow for the final purchase price. We go to closing, and then we donate those properties to the Park Service. Transfer is complete, and then the Park Service really kicks off this next visionary stage that involves design, interpretation, construction, of course, as Dr. Kennard laid out. And then really the Park Service is in the driver's seat from this point forward. So look at us as essentially a phase 1 partner to both the city and the Park Service on consummating this transaction. Once that transaction is consummated, the Park Service is really then at the point where they work with the city and others on building out the design and the vision for future resident or future users. And on behalf of the city, as a partner, making sure this interpretation reflects all parties involved. I think that's our last slide, and thank you for letting us just give a snapshot of how we would see this transaction taking place. We understand there will be questions, and we're happy to answer those in conjunction with Dr. Kennard.
I did have the press release sent to you guys. I'm not sure if you all have it in place, but I wanted to make you aware that This project was put in the fiscal year 22 budget of President Joseph Biden. This press release that you have probably read indicates that money was given, will be given to the Park Service for this project. There are other projects, of course, that he is funding, but this project has been given the most money from every project in the Department of Interior that he has identified. And so I just wanted to make certain that you were aware of the importance of this project and the investment in infrastructure that we're attempting to get your support on, because we can't do this without the sale of the property.
Y'all have any questions? Go ahead.
What happens in the event that phase one environmental shows some issues?
So, we have meetings on a consistent basis with different experts. And we will cross that bridge when we get to it. There are going to be a lot of things that are going to come up with this project that we can't anticipate, but we're looking to handle them as quickly as possible. We have been trying to predict what could delay this project, because it's looking like we'll have to have this project done during this administration, which means 3 years and 10 months. And so we're prepared to move forward and adjust in any way we need to get anyone involved that we need to get involved to move forward, move the project forward. But we have met with the SHPO already, letting her know that this project is a priority. She knows, her staff knows. We've met with several other people in the state and in other places who know the urgency in which we need to move with this project. And so we'll just adjust as we need to. But it is our focus to be done before Election Day of 2024. So hopefully the new president that comes in 2025 for the 60th anniversary of Bloody Sunday will be helping us cut the ribbon. But hopefully we'll be in there a year before that. But as you can see, I'm a little ambitious, but stay tuned. We'll see how it all works. And I'm sure we'll be coming to you all as the project moves forward, just so you all know what stages we're in, because we really want you all to be a part of the process. I know we've talked to the mayor already about his staff and other people being a part of the new exhibit design.
Do we have a ballpark figure of how much each building is gonna, like a total? I know we need to get an appraisal, but do we have a ballpark figure of property value?
No, but we had the option of gifting it or selling it. And I've been consistent. I say we're selling. Councilman Harvey is still conservative. But they were willing to accept the sale offer, and so I'm thankful of that. So the appraisal will give us the market value of the property, and that's where we will begin to negotiate the actual sales price. You know, thank you all. Let me thank National Park Foundation, National Park Service, Dr. Joy Kennard, and all of the people who are playing. I want to thank the President for his commitment to finish this project that started back in the 90s. And also Congresswoman Terry Sewell, who is literally dragging this project to the finish line. It's amazing. It has as I mentioned her name, I would be negligent if I did not acknowledge that we will be celebrating the life of former City Councilwoman Nancy Sewell, who was the first African-American woman to be elected to the Selma City Council. So, let me tell you how important it. See, let me tell you how the city ended up with this property. See, when we first started out, ALDOT had possession of the property. ALDOT took possession of the property, but when that happened, when we initially did this assessment to determine where the three interpretive centers would be on the trail, one in Lowndes County, one in Montgomery, one in Selma. The selection of that was done by the Friends of the Trail. We made the selection recommendation for the acquisition of that property. Once that happened, ALDOT came back and told the city, y'all gonna have to take possession of it, here are the keys, and if you don't, we can't get anything else done. So we really took it under duress, and there's a letter somewhere that acknowledged that we accepted this property under duress. We really were not supposed to have it in the first place. But I'm just thankful that well, I was in office when we accepted it, now I'm in office when we get a chance to finish it. And I'm just thankful for that. And this is really important because what this administration is doing, they are honoring the original master plan that was designed for the Voting Rights Interpretive Center in Selma, Dallas County. That's important because it started here. And so I'm just thankful. I can't say thank you enough. I really get full when I think about where we're really going with this, because the city of Selma, we would not be able to fund this. We can't get this done. But the federal government can fund it. They can actually build it, and they are willing to help us sustain it. And I say, let's move forward. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
That ends my report. Yeah. I didn't have a lot to do tonight.
And thank y'all on Zoom over there. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. All right. No more on the mayor's report. So there's nobody to give a report on the finances. All right. Yeah, Perkins, is the treasurer going to be present Tuesday for a report?
I'm hoping that Mr. Goldsby will be able to get the information that's needed for the financial reports, because you didn't get it in the last meeting. And I'm hoping that he'll be able to get that caught up and pass it over to the treasurer so we can get those reports I need. And so the answer to that is she will be in the meeting. I plan for her to be in the meeting unless something changes that, but the goal is for her to be there.
I think I did send May.
You got it?
I sent out May reports the other day.
Okay, well, I haven't even seen mine yet, so I gotta get caught up on my email.
I just want to make sure the public is going to be able to.
Okay. All right, that's good. That's good. If you have any other questions, council, I'll be glad to.
Does anybody have any questions for me?
We good?
Okay.
You're gonna go over the BMSS piece
I
tonight?
didn't have it on the agenda. I think we can chat about it real quick.
Yeah,
I think we requested them modify.
Yeah.
And put everything back on the list.
put it back on there.
So
And we actually voted.
yeah, we voted and approved it, so I guess it was,
So we need to move on it, so I'm just waiting for the signature pages for phase 2, and then we'll go ahead and get it signed and get started. And I'm okay with this. I'm even okay with the BMSS can as it comes to IT, because we did agree that we needed to give the IT department an opportunity to do it. So can is, I'm okay with that.
I have a question,
I'm sorry.
about the job description. Is this the job description that came from Auburn?
Which one?
The one that we have? Is this for the treasurer?
The one that was sent out.
I think, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure that.
Yeah, I think so. You know, y'all ain't Y'all won't give too much time. You want too much with that.
Nobody said.
I whispered now, I whispered.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay, well, we good.
Yeah, yeah, we got,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna follow. There were actually two job descriptions that were sent, there was also the,
Task.
Yeah.
Right, I just want to make sure, are we meeting the requirement? I was thinking in my little pocket, it was a 30-day posting requirement. This only has it for 11 days.
Right.
Are we meeting the?
I don't think it's a requirement for 30 days. I've always heard that, but I think
Okay.
the HR department, they know that stuff better than me.
Okay.
I think they're doing it. If y'all want to extend it, that's fine.
I guess we need to.
But there needs to be kind of a sense of urgency about this because we really don't have anyone in that office at this point that can substitute for what she.
I'm okay with it for now, but I think we need to review how many applications we have at some point, and if we need to extend it, we need to be open to doing that.
Which, I mean, that's, the 18th is.
Right. Yeah. So maybe we can get an idea on Tuesday at the meeting on how many applications we received.
Yeah.
We can always open it. If
So
it
we're
expires,
good?
we can always open it back up.
Okay, okay.
So it will expire tomorrow.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, we can find out how many applications we have. If we aren't comfortable with it, we probably back up.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask another question. HR is not here.
No.
Is the council president also receiving, or Nikki, receiving, resumes? Because that was in our procedures.
Right.
Yeah, that he would, and I don't know the answer to that. But yes, you're correct. I do remember that.
Can we make sure he's getting a copy? I mean, it's not posted, so nobody would know where to send it. Than here.
We'll look into it. We'll look into it.
Is that anything else?
No, I don't. I wish I had that here. I wish I had those procedures for front of me, but I don't. I think if we can get an update on Tuesday, we'll be able to talk to you. Yeah.
So we just need to request our president on the Tuesday meeting. All right, committee meeting reports. Anybody?
I don't have any.
Okay, committee meeting reports. Does anybody have a committee meeting report?
I don't have a report, but I need to put it out there. I need to have a recreation meeting coming up in a week or two. I get with the people that live with me and set it up in a week or two.
Okay.
It's almost yeah.
I think it's us three.
Yeah. And I'll get with y'all, we'll set a date and we'll go.
Make sure the timing, man.
Yeah.
That's important.
And I will be setting a date for the Public Works Committee meeting to get all this garbage, initiative worked out. Because it sounds like we got some, all those documents ready, so I'm excited about that. We get a lot of stuff to read. Any other business, any old business, new
It's
business?
not old business, but, we're gonna be doing a presentation of a resolution to, Ms. Nancy Sewell on Tuesday. So, and I think, is Terry gonna be here? I know the children are supposed to be here to receive their resolution.
They're supposed to.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll, I'm sure we'll waive the rules for that, go ahead and get it passed. And, any other new or old business that we need to take up? All right, if that's it, we've got a record adjourned.